right now. Inside your body, something extraordinary is happening. Not metaphorically, not motivationally. Biologically, deep inside your cells, there's a process that researchers studying cancer, longevity, and metabolic health are obsessing over. It's called autophagy. And here's the part that stops people in their tracks. You can activate it yourself. No supplements, no expensive biohacking devices, no prescription drugs, just time without food. That's it. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is just another intermittent fasting hype video, let's slow this down, because this isn't about starving yourself. It's not about cutting calories. It's not about willpower. It's about understanding what actually happens hour by hour inside your body when insulin drops and your metabolism shifts. Imagine a 8-year-old American adult. Maybe that's you. Slightly elevated A1C, energy crashes at 3 p.m. Stubborn belly fat that won't move no matter how many calories you track. The question isn't, does fasting work? The real question is, when does it work and why? And that answer starts at hour 0. Here's where most people get intermittent fasting completely wrong. They think it's just another way to eat fewer calories. And yes, sometimes that happens. But your cells do not own a calculator. They don't count calories. They respond to hormones. What matters isn't how much you ate, it's how long insulin stays elevated afterward. Your body runs on 2 primary energy systems. One runs on glucose, the sugar that comes from carbohydrates. The other runs on stored fat, converted into ketones. And here's the critical part nobody explains clearly. Those systems do not run at full power at the same time. Your body has a hierarchy. When glucose is available, it will use glucose. Every time. It's fast. It's efficient. It's like premium jet fuel. But when glucose runs out and insulin drops low enough, something shifts. Your body flips metabolic gears. And that shift doesn't happen because you cut calories. It happens because enough time has passed. So let's start at hour 0. You just finished your last meal. Maybe it was dinner at 7 p.m. Maybe it was a late-night snack while watching Netflix. Either way, right now, your body is firmly in what's called the fed state. Insulin is elevated. Blood glucose is circulating. Your liver and muscles are topping off glycogen stores. Your body is not interested in burning fat at this point. Why would it be? You just supplied fresh fuel. Think of it like filling up your gas tank before a road trip. You wouldn't immediately switch to your backup reserve. Your body operates the same way. During these first few hours, energy is directed toward digestion. Your stomach is breaking food down. Your pancreas is releasing insulin to shuttle glucose into cells. Storage pathways are active. Growth pathways are active. mTOR is turned on. Construction mode is engaged. This is normal. This is healthy. And this is why a 4-hour fast doesn't magically trigger fat burning or autophagy. You're still running on what you just ate. But that doesn't last forever. Somewhere around hour 4, something subtle begins to change. Your bloodstream is no longer receiving incoming glucose. Insulin starts drifting downward. Your liver begins releasing stored glycogen to keep your blood sugar stable. On the outside, this is the part where most people say, "I'm starving." But here's what's really happening. You are not starving. You are transitioning. Glycogen, the stored form of glucose in your liver, is being used as a short-term energy buffer. Think of it as the reserve tank you didn't know you had. And as that reserve tank drains, your body prepares for a shift. But this is also when hunger hormones like ghrelin rise sharply. Your brain expects food because you normally eat at this time. That surge of hunger, it's often habit, not emergency. This is the psychological cliff. Around hour 6 to 8. This is where beginners quit. Energy might dip slightly, especially if your last meal was high in refined carbs. Irritability can show up. Focus may feel shaky. This is not failure. This is the metabolic handoff. Because once glycogen drops low enough, your body has to make a decision. And that decision changes everything. Around hour 8, the real shift begins. Glycogen stores in your liver are now significantly depleted. Insulin is low enough that it's no longer blocking fat mobilization. And this is the moment your body switches primary fuel sources. This is metabolic switching. Your fat cells' adipose tissue begin breaking down triglycerides into free fatty acids and glycerol. Those fatty acids travel to the liver, where they're converted into ketones. One of those ketones, beta-hydroxybutyrate, starts rising in your bloodstream. And here's where things get interesting for brain function and fat burning. Your brain can now run on ketones instead of glucose. This is not a theory. This is measurable physiology. Ketones produce energy with less oxidative stress and often create that mental clarity people describe during intermittent fasting. Many Americans report this around late morning if they stopped eating the night before. Focus feels sharper. Cravings drop. Energy stabilizes. And here's the deeper layer most people miss. As insulin stays low and nutrient signaling drops, cellular cleanup pathways begin increasing. Autophagy doesn't instantly skyrocket, but it ramps up. Your body is no longer in growth mode. It's in maintenance and repair mode. And that's where the benefits of fasting start becoming meaningful. By the time you reach hour 12, your body is no longer negotiating. It has fully adapted to running primarily on fat. Ketone production is steady. Insulin is low. Glycogen is mostly depleted. And this is where the deeper biological advantages of intermittent fasting start stacking up. Fat oxidation is now maximized. Your adipose tissue is actively releasing stored fat. And your liver is efficiently converting it into usable fuel. At the same time, growth hormone levels rise, in some studies increasing several-fold during extended fasting, which helps preserve lean muscle mass while your body pulls from fat stores. This is critical for metabolic health and long-term body composition. But the real headline here is cellular signaling. Around this window, mTOR activity drops more significantly. mTOR is the nutrient sensor that tells your body when to build and grow. When it's active, you're in construction mode. When it quiets down, your body shifts toward repair and resilience. Autophagy pathways become more active. Damaged proteins get recycled. Old cellular components are broken down and reused. It's not magic. It's maintenance. Think of it as switching off expansion and turning on renovation. Many Americans practicing a 1-6-hour intermittent fasting protocol report this as the period of stable energy, reduced cravings, and sharper mental focus. This is why 14 to 18 hours is often considered the metabolic sweet spot. You capture most of the fat burning and insulin sensitivity benefits without pushing into diminishing returns. And that's where the next decision matters. Once you move past 16 hours, something important happens, not dramatically, but subtly. You're still burning fat, ketones are still elevated, autophagy pathways remain active, but the curve starts to flatten. The massive metabolic shift already happened between hours 8 and 16. Extending beyond that doesn't multiply the benefit linearly. It adds smaller gains at a higher physiological cost. Cortisol, your primary stress hormone, begins to rise more noticeably the longer you extend a fast. Now, cortisol isn't evil. It helps mobilize energy, but chronically elevating it, especially if you're already stressed or sleep-deprived, can backfire. Around this window, muscle protein synthesis also slows further. While growth hormone helps protect lean mass, prolonged fasting without adequate protein intake beforehand can gradually increase muscle breakdown. More is not automatically better. This is where biohacking culture sometimes overshoots. The research suggests that for most metabolically healthy adults, a consistent 14 to 18-hour intermittent fasting window captures roughly 80% of the metabolic health and fat-burning benefits of a 2-4-hour fast with far less strain. Think of it like training. The right dose builds strength. Too much volume without recovery creates stress. And that's where personalization becomes everything. Here's the part that rarely makes it into viral intermittent fasting videos. Fasting does not affect everyone the same way. The timeline we just walked through reflects general human physiology, but your context changes the equation. Biological sex matters. Women's hormonal cycles influence cortisol response and metabolic flexibility. During the luteal phase, when progesterone is higher, extended fasting can feel more stressful and less energizing. During the follicular phase, many women tolerate longer fasting windows better. Stress levels matter. If you're sleeping 5 hours a night, juggling work pressure, and already running on high cortisol, pushing into 20 or 24-hour fasts may amplify that stress response rather than improve metabolic health. Training status matters too. If you're lifting heavy weights or training intensely, fasting on workout days can impair performance and recovery. Strategic fasting on rest days works better. And if you're managing diabetes, thyroid conditions, or taking medications that influence blood sugar, fasting should be supervised. Intermittent fasting is a metabolic tool, not a moral badge. Used strategically, it can improve insulin sensitivity, fat burning, and metabolic flexibility. Used blindly, it can create unnecessary stress. And what you do next determines whether you keep the benefits you just built. After 14, low, maybe 18 hours without food, your body is primed. Insulin sensitivity is elevated. Nutrient transporters are more active. Your cells are ready to absorb glucose and amino acids efficiently. And this is where many people undo the advantage they just created. If you break a fast with ultra-processed carbs, sugar, or a massive refined meal, insulin spikes aggressively. Blood sugar rises fast. Then crashes. You go from controlled fat burning back to reactive glucose swings. The smarter strategy is simple. Break your fast with protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Eggs, Greek yogurt, lean meat, vegetables, nuts, whole foods that provide amino acids and micronutrients without overwhelming your system. Think of it like this. You just cleaned the house for 16 hours. Don't walk in and throw junk all over the floor. When refeeding is intentional, intermittent fasting supports metabolic health rather than sabotaging it. So after everything we just walked through, the insulin drop, the glycogen depletion, the metabolic switch, the rise in ketones, the activation of autophagy, the decline in mTOR, what actually matters? Here's the clear, practical takeaway. For most metabolically healthy American adults, a consistent 14-to-1-8-hour intermittent fasting window delivers the majority of the benefits without unnecessary stress. That could look like finishing dinner at 7 p.m. and eating again between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. the next day, depending on your schedule. You don't need extreme 24 or 3 6-hour fasts to improve insulin sensitivity, support fat burning, or enhance metabolic flexibility. Consistency beats intensity. Start with 14 hours. Do it for a week. Pay attention to your energy, your focus, your cravings, not just the number on the scale. Then extend to 16 if it feels sustainable. Fasting is not magic. It is biology doing what it was designed to do when given time. And when you understand that timeline, you stop guessing and start using the tool intelligently.